Previously on Mega Man 6, Die Monster, well, actually, you probably do belong in this world, but go away anyway! And now... Hello, Rowan Mithril here once again, getting back to the Mega Man 6 Fortress Stage Perfect runs. It's time for Mr. X's Castle, Stage 3. And it certainly can't be as bad as that was. So right from the start you have a choice of left or right. Heading toward the left, it doesn't really help you get through the stage. But you do get a nice shiny E-tank for minimal effort. Just be sure you grab the ladder on the way back down. Simple enough, really. This Benkei, I like to just snipe his foot. It feels more manageable to me than fighting him in the limited space up there. And since you can sneak around behind him like that, you get more hits in on him, so you take him out pretty quickly. Of course, they are still pretty adamant about making you use the rush suits. You might call it dogged determination, yes. Wait on the ladder for the fire tellies to go through. They're very random about when they attack. These things, though, they have been the bane of my existence in this stage. You can only take them down with charge shots, and I'm only allowed to use those if I have no other option. And thus, instead, I have to use very close order jumping. Fun times. It's all a bit of a bother, really, but it's doable, and so I must. Adjusting these platforms so close to the death spikes, it can be a bit intimidating. And here I have no other option. That one's too close to spikes, it has to go. No safe way to bypass that one. Here once more the paths divide. The main benefit of the lower route, that last block it does contain an E-tank. But it isn't a shortcut or anything like that. It just goes through the same set of rooms as this one. It just lets you out behind that block over there. It has a couple of small energy pellets in it. You can get those from this direction. So, once again, it's jet time. And now it's time for things to get very hectic. I do not like this sequence. Alright, let's go for it. Okay, we're through. Alright. Here, take your choice. The upper path requires power, the lower one requires jet. Either way, you're going to be using something. Okay, one more tricky jump. We can do this. Okay, we're through. Thankfully, after all that, the boss is fairly simple. Meet Matonga Z. Apparently the name is a parody of some anime title. I'm not really familiar with it, though. You're constantly moving backwards as the floor scrolls, which is kind of weird considering how we came into this room. Just don't think about it too much, I guess. Basically, he fires shots in sets of 3. They'll either bounce like this, or they'll go straight forward. Choose your times of attack carefully so you don't get ambushed. See, between sets of shots, you're never really sure how long it's going to take him to fire another set. So be cautious about attacking. You might think you have time to attack, and then you don't. Just be careful about adjusting your positioning. Remember that you are moving with the ground. So when you're getting under the bouncing shots, be very cautious of that. That aside, though, this is a pretty simple boss. Okay, that was very close. Almost got impatient there. And there we go, Matonga Z is down. Mr. X Castle Stage 3 clear. So yeah, that wasn't too bad, mainly just self-inflicted wounds of not using charge shots and weird hitboxes, but it wasn't too bad. But there were definitely outtakes. So a little preview of things to come, it took the X symbol away. I never really noticed that. But anyway, here's where we'll pick things up next time. For now though, outtakes. Enjoy! Does get you a nice shiny E-tank with minimal effort. Just be sure and hold toward the right as you go back down. And sometimes it doesn't work for some reason. That's the first time I've had that fail. But since I'm not allowed to use them unless I absolutely have to, it makes getting past them a bit more of a precise thing. Yeah, kind of like that. Now this area does get a bit on the hectic side. Yeah, there's a lot that you have to keep an eye on there. It is doable, just very precise. Worse in some cases than others. Nice timing. Or I can just slam my face into that thing, that works too. Now the real problem in this stage are these things, at least if you're not going to use charge shots. Given my rules, I'm only allowed to use charge shots if I have no other option. Yeah, I didn't see that either. Yes, I did. There's a lot that you have to keep an eye on here. Really? It looked like I should have cleared that. This part makes me very nervous. Too far. Okay, one more tricky jump. We can do this. No, we can't! Bugger! There's a lot that you have to keep an eye on here. And it makes me super nervous. That shouldn't have worked. I'm happy it did, but that shouldn't have worked. Oh, man. But yeah, you can see how hectic that area gets. Here you either have to use the jet suit or the power adapter to get through. One or the other, take your pick. I prefer just going ahead and using the power adapter there. So, one more rather close jump that wasn't going to happen. Keeping it, though, for the insanity of that area. There's a bit of a theme with these last two stages, and that would be difficulty born of self-inflicted wounds. A number of stages they are difficult on their own merits, but these last two, they've only really had much difficulty because of the limitations of my rules. I give Mr. X's Castle Stage 3 a 4 out of 10. Those blasted invincible enemies! For those playing along at home, they're apparently called Pookers, and they're pretty annoying when you don't use charge shots. And therein lies the issue with this stage. If not for that fact, this stage would be a cakewalk. The stage is pretty simple, maybe a couple of tricky jumps, but nothing that bad, and Matonga Z is super easy. Thus, it's just those blasted Pookers, and the fact that I'm not allowed to use charge shots. This leads to a lot of training of muscle memory and snap judgments of where you need to land. As seen in the outtakes, yeah, it's not an exact science. Most of it, though, you get more of a sense of how you need to jump and land, so it gets easier with practice. What doesn't get easier is the fact that both the fire tellies and the Pookers have a certain degree of randomness to the timing of their attacks. So where a fire telly might drop fire once, you shouldn't get too used to it happening the same way on subsequent runs. There's also the risk of jumping over a Pooker just in time for them to fire a lob shot right into you. Fun times. Still, overall, it's a pretty minor part of the stage. It's not as big and glaring an obstacle as that blasted piston from the last video. By comparison, Metonger Z is super easy. The shots are very easy to dodge, even the forced movement of the ground scrolling underneath you. It doesn't really cause too much trouble. So long as you take this one carefully, Metonger Z is a complete non-issue. So maybe a little tricky of a stage, but not that bad. A 4 out of 10 sounds about right to me. Just have to get really good at ledge landings. With that, that's the end of this one. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the vid, and I shall see you again next time. Until then, fare thee well.